All right, new day and another laptop that needs to be saved, and this time we have an Alienware X15R2. This is an interesting one. The customer said they were using it, and then the fan started ramping up really high, and then the machine just shut off, and it will no longer power on or do anything. So I haven't taken a look at this yet. Let's take a look together and see if we can get this figured out. All right, first thing we're gonna do is see if it turns on, which it shouldn't. And we got no power lights or anything like that. Let's plug in the power, and keep an eye on the power meter right here. We wanna see what current is being pulled when we plug it in. And looks like it went up to 0.01, then went back down to 0. This could mean the main power rail is trying to come up, but it's detecting some sort of short on the board. I don't know. Let's press the power button and see if it does anything different. And it's doing nothing at all. Okay, so the power button's not responding. Let me open and close the lid, see if that actually triggers anything. Okay, we're not seeing any current being pulled at all. There is a possibility we have a short somewhere on the board. That's the power management chip or the protection circuitry is shutting off the power supply just in case to protect it. Or we could have some other firmware issue with the EC chip, because I've seen that on this machine too. But let's open it up and take a look inside. All right, and the bottom is off. Quick look around. We got the main battery here. It's a Dell OEM, has a serial number here. This machine has 4 fans, which I really like this design. So 2 on the CPU side, 2 on the GPU side. There's 2 NVMe slots. They're not populated. The customer said they took out the drives just to protect the data. There's a Wi-Fi card there. I really do like this laptop in the overall. This one is shipped with liquid metal though, so we could have some leaking liquid metal issue. But what I want to do is I'm going to start by just measuring the main power rail. Let's just see how far the voltage is going before it shuts off and see if we are experiencing a short or something like that. Let's get under the microscope. All right, so here's where the DC jack plugs into the motherboard. It's going to come out here. This is going to be the positive side. It's going to go through these inductors here. It's going to go through this MOSFET. It's going to go through that MOSFET. It's going to go through this current sense resistor, and it's going to go to these other MOSFETs over here. These are all controlled by a power management chip. So we could have a power management chip issue. There's a number of different things that can cause this exact symptom, so it's kind of hard to know. That's why we're going to see if we can investigate, but let's go ahead and plug in the charger. So I have the charger plugged in. It looks like 0.01, then it dropped back down on the power meter. We can measure the voltage coming out of the jack. We do have 20 volts coming out of the jack. It's going to go through these inductors. It's going to go into this MOSFET. It's going to come out of this MOSFET. And we're not getting anything coming out of this MOSFET, so we know that we're not going to have anything here on the main power rail, but we do have 0.5. So I'm wondering if it did energize momentarily. Let's measure the battery connector, is right here. Let's see how much voltage we have on the battery. So if we measure right here on one of these end pins, that side might be ground. Let's try this side. We got 11.2 volts. All right, so the battery has a charge. 11.2 is charged enough for it to turn on the motherboard. Well, this is starting to look like we might have some sort of firmware issue. I don't know. Let's take a look here. The way that I'm going to figure this out is I'm going to hold my probe here on the main power rail. I'm going to unplug the charger, and I'm going to plug it back in. And I want to see if we get 20 volts momentarily, and then it shuts back off. If we are, then we know that it's going to be some sort of EC chip issue. And it did go to 20 volts momentarily. So that means we don't have a short on the main power rail, obviously, because it went up to 20 volts and kind of stayed there for a second and then went back down. And another way to know that you don't have a short there is that we actually have a charge of 0.7. And that is because the capacitors were charged up to 20 volts momentarily, and then they're discharging. The other thing that we're probably going to have is the 3 volt and 5 volt power rails, which I believe are right here we can measure. Let's take a look. Let's see what we have here. That's ground. All right, so if I measure right here, we got 3.4 volts. And if we measure right here, we have 3.4 volts. So this is a 3.4 volt power rail, and that is up and running. What we're gonna probably have to do is I just wanted to verify, because I'm kind of leaning towards it being a firmware EC chip issue, but this does have liquid metal, and so we could have leaking liquid metal, LLM, coming out onto the board that's causing some sort of a short, especially if we had the fans cranking up, things like that, like there was overheating because the liquid metal had leaked out. So I think the next stage, before I start jumping to conclusions, is pull the motherboard out, take a look around. Before I pull the motherboard out all the way, I do want to unplug the main battery, see if we can just do some sort of CMOS reset. These don't really have CMOS resets because the EC chip is one-time programmed. It doesn't act the same as other laptops where you unplug the main battery, the CMOS battery, and discharge all the capacitors and do a CMOS reset, because it's not reprogramming the EC chip at that time. So I did unplug the main battery. Right now it's sitting there at 0.02, which is actually good, but the power button is doing nothing. And again, you know, this does kind of lean towards having some sort of EC chip issue, but we're gonna have to figure this out. All right, I do see some fluff coming out of here. If you look right here, I do see a little bit of fluff. You can see that the fans are a little bit dirty, so they may have been experiencing some sort of overheating issue that actually caused this overall issue. All right, and the motherboard is out. Look how cute it is. These machines actually are pretty high end. They do have 30 series chips. I don't think they were shipped with 40 series, but the cooling is pretty good because it does have those 4 fans. Now I can see a bunch of fuzz coming out of here. I don't know if you can see it, but it is coming out of the cracks. So I actually want to crack these fans open and take a look inside. I am assuming that we will have a large amount of fuzz. Okay, let's crack them open. Okay, here you go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Take a look at that. I think you can see that there's a large amount. Okay, so people, we need to keep our fans clean. I know that people ask about how you're supposed to do that. You see these big blobs like this? This is built up over time. This is not just, it didn't happen just yesterday. When you have big, thick amounts of fuzz being built up, it's because, it's kind of like when you're running your dryer and you do that second load of laundry and you're like, shoot, I should have cleaned the screen before I did the second load. That's exactly what's going on here. What I recommend to most people, get a can of air like this, and you just blow it in the vents once a month, once every 2 months, something like that. It just knocks the layer of dust off. It doesn't allow it to build up. Now, if you wait until the end and you're trying to blow it out, there's nothing you can do. You have to take apart the entire thing. We have to scrub all this with a toothbrush. You have to pull out the big piles of fuzz. Heat is a laptop's worst enemy. So do not let it get this bad, please. Do not let it get this bad. So I'm gonna clean all this up. I'm hopeful that this board can be saved at this point because it was running really hot. Yeah, look at this. You want that? And look, this was on the other side. All right, well, clean that up here. All we do is just take a toothbrush after that, and you can scrub your fins. And I scrub it on both sides like this. And then we're gonna scrub our heatsink. Scrub it on both sides. And then we'll blow compressed air through it, and then that will be good to go. So I'm gonna keep it from spinning. All right, there we go. Now that we got them all nice and clean, we'll put it back together, and hopefully that resolves the heating issue, their overheating issue. But first we gotta get the machine working, right? What's a clean fan without a laptop that actually turns on? Okay, so now that those fans are all cleaned up, I want to figure out if we are having the EC chip issue. I've done this a lot of times now, and so I don't know if it's getting old or not, but we tested the main power rail. We saw it come up temporarily, 20 volts, come back down. We also want to check to see if this 3 and 5 volt are doing the exact same thing. If they are, then we probably are pointing towards an EC chip issue, and we'll just reprogram it and we should be good to go. But if it is staying on, then we have something different. So we went to 5 volts and it turned back off. And then I'm going to be on this one. This is the 3.3. I'm going to plug it in. Went to 3.4. And it shuts back off. So that is a symptom of an EC chip issue. So we will proceed to flashing the EC chip, which won't take very long. And so let me go grab my equipment and we will get it all put up in the jig and then we will program it. But before I program it, I'll go ahead and we'll just do a quick once around the board. So I want to see if we see anything obvious, any burnt components or anything like that. But it is giving all the symptoms of a corrupted EC. And I have seen it where the machine was just working like normal and just shuts off, especially when there's heat like this. So they must have had some sort of power surge from overheating. And all of this looks good so far. I don't see anything obvious or anything burnt, anything discolored, any cracked components. There's where the camera plugs in. This is the I/O board. This is where we're going to be programming the EC chip. There's the EC chip right there. There's the programming headers. So all that looks good. I mean, the only other thing we could look for is if we wanted to check to see if there's leaking liquid metal. What I don't want to do is disturb the liquid metal if we don't have to. And on this model, I've actually never seen it leak. It's only the 17-inch version of this because this one has a good-sized dam. So right now, let's just start out with flashing this EC chip, and then if we are experiencing an issue still, then we'll check the liquid metal. I don't think the liquid metal is gonna have an issue on this machine though. All right, I got it mounted in my PC Bytes jig. This right here are PC Bytes. They're weighted little pins for programming or for connections without having to solder to the board, which is super useful. I've done this in other videos, so you can look up other videos, but here's the pin out. We're gonna be connecting to the debug header here. These are the only 4 pins we're gonna be using. These are just my colors of wires. They're all gonna be different for you. This is just what I have plugged into my programmer and what orientation and color everything is. Hopefully this will fix it up. Let me get all those connected. All right, so here's the EC chip here. Here's the debug header that we're gonna be programming through. If you look here, you can see that we have these 4 pins that we're gonna be connecting to, and the third one actually comes over here, so we can connect over here if we wanted to. Sometimes the PC Bytes are kind of big, they run into each other. I usually like to connect on this side of the resistor, but I found that if we reflow these solder pads, it has a better connection, because sometimes the oxidation doesn't allow it to have good connection. So I'm gonna reflow those with fresh solder, and then we'll see if we can connect to those. We just need to do it on those 4 pins, and I'm gonna clean that off. There we go. All right, now I'm just gonna go one by one and connect these. And all I'm gonna do is just set them in place. If you're interested in getting some of these PC Bytes, I do have a link in the video description on Amazon. I think this kit that I'm using is about $100. It comes with the bottom mounting plate, but you could just buy the arms themselves. Super useful, so we don't have to solder anything. So I have them all connected now, so let's go ahead and pull up our programmer. Okay, we'll need to select, this is an ED chip, and it's a 9542GF. And we will select that. And we're gonna be using the soldering option, even though we didn't solder anything because we used the PC Bytes. I need to make sure the power of the motherboard on, so I'll need to plug in the power, and that way I can access the chip properly. And let's see if we have a connection. We do have a connection, first try, which is perfect. We're gonna read the chip just to back it up. It's always a good habit to back up any firmware that you're working on. And now we can write the new version of the EC firmware, which I did extract from a Dell BIOS. And it's gonna be right here. It's called OEM EC. And we'll select that and let that write back and see if this fixes the issue. Now we'll know pretty quickly, because after it writes to it, we have the board plugged in, we can hit the power button, and the thing should actually just start powering on. You'll see it start pulling some current. I fixed a lot of these, and this is a common issue, but it's usually all pertains to overheating. So I don't know what causes the EC firmware to get corrupted from it overheating like this, but this does fix it. All right, it wrote successfully. Let me unplug the power and unplug all this stuff. All right, so while it's on the bench, we can actually just power it on. I'm just gonna plug in the charger. I have the DC jack already attached. We see it pulling 0.01, that's what it was doing before. Here's our power button connector. And if we look at this, we should be able to just jump the connections. And I believe it's these first 2, yes. So, all right, I'm gonna short these 2 out. It should come on, keep an eye on the power meter. Ready, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. It's pulling 2 amps. It's starting to power up. Let's get this motherboard reinstalled in the machine and see if we see the Alienware screen. All right, I got the motherboard installed. Let's plug in the power and pay attention to the power meter. Let's see what it does. Let's turn it on. All right, we got the keyboard backlight. Got 2 amps being pulled, and is it gonna work? We got the Alienware screen. Awesome. So that did resolve the issue. It was just a corrupted EC chip. Now, this is all from overheating, and I hope you learned something from this video. Really, all you need to do is just keep your laptop cool, and it will actually work for a long, long time. Let me go ahead and boot in the diagnostics. We'll run a full test on everything, make sure everything's working properly. But I'm pretty sure the only issue we had was it overheating in the first place, and that was causing an issue with all the other stuff. And there you go. The laptop actually boots, passes all diagnostics. The temperatures are looking in range, so everything looks good here. Remember, not to let this happen to your laptop. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this one, and thanks for watching.
I saved another laptop!